I've made a video on this topic, top 5 hedge fund career mistakes. You might have seen it. So I'm going to go through these relatively quickly because this might be old hat for some of you. Number one, the most important thing in the hedge fund industry is to not come across as being annoying, and that's the shortest way of stating it. But in other words, don't email somebody 6 times a week, or email them, call them, fax them multiple times in a day, or you're just going to turn people off very quickly. And there's 2 reasons why that is. The first is that the hedge fund industry is relatively small compared to other industries, and hedge funds generally get many inquiries about jobs, especially nowadays with the recent economy not being as stable as it used to be. So it's really important to come across as someone who values the other person's time. Otherwise, they're not going to be interested in working with you or interviewing you at all. The other reason is that if you think about it, the most valuable employers, or the people who you really want to work with or work for, are probably going to be the busiest people. If somebody has $800 million under management and they're running 5 different strategies which are all growing quickly, they're going to be very busy and very consumed by their business. They're not going to have much time or patience to deal with 8-page long emails or multiple inquiries about something because you're feeling impatient or anxious about being hired in the industry. So just make sure you don't come across as annoying. Next, don't be overconfident. I know some people have a virtual portfolio through a Yahoo stock system, or they have a great trading algorithm, or they have great pedigree from an Ivy League institution or a big firm. And it's just important not to come across as overconfident, because each hedge fund manager and these principals are probably relatively confident in how they do things. And if you seem overconfident, it might seem like you're not going to mesh with their culture. So just make sure you don't come off as arrogant or overconfident during the process. Next is no long resumes and emails, and this comes right back to respecting the other party's time. I always say that your resume should not be any longer than 1 page long. Even if you have 25 years of experience, less is more, because nobody has time to read a 2 or 3 page email, and they usually just won't. They'll skim it, and then if you have your stuff spread out over 3 pages, that same 10 seconds is going to be spent over 3 pages, and they'll actually absorb less than if you have a 1-page resume. Emails, again, keep short. I usually try to keep emails to parties that we don't already have a relationship with down to 4 or 5 sentences, and that's kind of a good rule to go by when you're networking in the industry. Next is generic is boring. While many hedge funds like people who can wear many different hats and have diverse skill sets and be responsible for many different things, you don't want to be generic. So make sure that even if you are somebody who's an analyst, maybe you have experience in managing service providers, or maybe you have experience in some type of hedge fund marketing strategies, or in developing marketing materials, something that's just going to give you something, an edge, an information edge, a knowledge edge, an experience edge over other people who are going to be applying for those same positions. And last is passion is not enough. We get a lot of emails from people who say, and literally say, I will do anything to get in the hedge fund industry. I'm willing to work from the bottom up. I'll do anything. I just want to get in the industry and work for a hedge fund. And that's great, and it's a great attitude to have, but sometimes we don't see the connection between that attitude and then doing the hard work that's needed to gain the knowledge that's required and the experience that's required to really get into the industry. So just make sure that if you're one of those people that has that attitude, that you get some leverage on yourself and use that energy to actually put a work plan into place, take action, and do things that will move you closer to working in the industry and the position you want. And again, if you can avoid these mistakes, you'll be ahead of most of the other people that are applying for these same positions, because most people don't go through webinars or trainings on working in the hedge fund industry. And some of these things are very obvious, but everybody forgets these when they're busy or excited or anxious over a decision.